Welcome to another episode of the Rooted and Rested podcast. I'm Natanya, and today we are going to be diving into a really interesting topic with my lovely new friend, Mary Knarr. Mary is somebody who coaches in wellness, in the wellness area, in autoimmune diseases, and she has so many interesting things to talk about. And there was a surprising amount of crossover between the two of us when we had our little chat a few weeks ago. I'm really excited about bringing interesting and exciting topics and people onto this podcast, and I hope that you've enjoyed the people that I've managed to bring in so far. And I'm looking forward already to booking in a whole set of wonderful guests on season 2. And if you would like to hear a topic covered or have something specific spoken about, leave a comment, let us know, and we will try and work it in. Equally, if you'd like to talk and be a guest on the show, I'd love to hear from you as well. I'm always interested in networking and making new friends and connecting with people in the same sphere. It's just one of the things that I love about this little corner of the world and wellness. So without further ado, I would love to introduce you to Mary. Okay, so Mary, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited about this conversation. I feel like it's one that lots of people need to hear, particularly women. Particularly women who are carrying a lot and are just, pushing through exhaustion on a daily basis. You've got a lot that I'm excited to hear about, particularly in the area of autoimmune health and chronic stress. I hope that it's not you personally. And yeah, we've got some crossovers as well. So yeah, I would love it if you could just introduce yourself, what you do, and we'll kick off from there.
Sounds good. Thank you. And yes, that has been me, the autoimmune and chronic stress. And that's how I ended up where I am today in this space. Um, so I am a typical woman, right? I have a family, I have a full-time job, I have all the things, was living to push through, to meet all the deadlines, take care of the family, and for decades have had health issues. Went to many different doctors, had many different responses from said doctors,
Mm.
and trying to piece everything together, which ironically added to all the stress of everything else, right? And
Yeah.
I was getting older, all the usual things, right, that we'd love to hear from doctors, and no real full explanations of what was going on. Um, I had a particularly high stress point in my life where health just completely fell apart. And it was as everything fell apart that I finally got answers that I have 2 autoimmune diseases, 3 now, but at the time I had 2. And it started at that time. I was also taking coaching courses to become an accredited coach. And that journey just kind of walked along beside itself as I learned the key connections between my stress, my environment, and my health, and how to
Mm.
navigate that. And so that's the journey I have been on, and helping others as they are going through that as well.
That is a lot. Can you share a bit more about what your conditions are that you've found?
Sure. Yes, I have Sjogren's disease, which is a systematic autoimmune disease that is most well known for causing dryness, dry eyes, dry mouth, dry
Mm.
skin, which are annoying enough. But the unseen impact of the Sjogren's, deep fatigue,
Mm.
deep fatigue. It attacks all your joints. It can attack your internal organs. You have increased cardiovascular disease, and lymphoma concerns as
Wow.
well because of
Wow.
it, and rheumatoid arthritis. So, again, fatigue, joints being
Mm.
attacked, and the fun brain fog and difficulty in concentrating that comes with all of that. So,
Wow. That's a lot. Was that just
it
one, or is that
is.
all of them?
Those were the two that I was initially diagnosed. I also have osteoarthritis and some psoriatic arthritis too that likes to flare up at times. But the Sjogren's and RA are what I consistently live with on a daily basis.
Very brave. You're very brave. So how do you feel, what was the moment where it all shifted for you, where you started to see the dots getting joined? Because you said the doctors weren't necessarily helpful. So what's the
No,
story
they were
there?
not. I will say my rheumatologist is a very direct woman, but she has been helpful in a lot of these spaces. And when I was first diagnosed with the Sjogren's, she looked directly at me and she said, "Mary, you need to take care of yourself." And that hits you hard when a doctor tells you that
Yeah.
seriously, you know something's going on. But then how do I apply that? How do I take care of myself?
Yeah.
I've not done that. That's not something, I was in my 40s by that time. How do I do this? I had a lot of decades of not taking care of myself and taking care of others. So that was a struggle. So that was like the first part of, oh, this is serious. Now what do I do? I was in a very stressful meeting at work after that, and I work from home too, which also adds a layer of complexity, right, when we think about our environment. And my right wrist, and it's my right side that's impacted the most with my issues, just flared up with pain and swelling and redness. And that's a clear connection. You can see the stress
Yeah.
with the actual physical. And so my doctor's saying that clear connection, I was like, okay, something needs to be done. I need to figure out how to do that, taking care of myself and resetting my system so that I can actually take the time to heal.
Wow. I mean, I've got a million questions about what that looked like. I don't know if I should ask you about it. This might be too personal, but I would love to hear
Sure.
about what does that reset look like?
First, I will say it's constant. There is, I'm
Right.
afraid, no,
We never
you do this
arrive.
one thing. I know, right? Never. And that's what everybody, including me, wants to hear. So it's constant.
Yeah.
And giving yourself that grace to know that it's constant. And some days are going
Hmm.
to be easier and some days are going to be harder. For me personally, and as I help others, it's like, okay, identify those markers and you will know what your body is telling you. Listen to your body.
Yeah.
For me, it's the tension in my shoulders and my neck that I immediately feel when I get into a space that is not healthy, that is uncomfortable. And so you understand that, you pause, you
Yeah.
break the cycle, you take a deep breath, and then you figure out, okay, what do I need to do? Do I need to remove myself from this situation? What is that next step that I need to do to just break that? Otherwise, you stay in the cycle of stress, the cycle of inflammation. Everything just keeps spiraling at that point. So you just have to stop it.
I mean, you're speaking my language. I talk about this all the time with the somatic side of understanding of
Mhm.
just the interrupting of narratives with something physical to
Yes.
cut across is just
Yes.
so misunderstood. I don't think
Hmm.
enough people don't know about this stuff. So I'm always excited to hear people say things like that. So, what would you say was the most misunderstood thing about autoimmune conditions? You've got enough to educate us.
I do. Um, the complexity of it,
Hmm.
we think autoimmune disease and we think like, oh, Sjogren's, it's dry. We think autoimmune disease automatically it equals something. No. Autoimmune diseases impact each person uniquely. And that journey can be very lonely
Hmm.
and very constant. Um, and we're talking about, chronic stress. You live in a body where you don't know what someone says, what this thing you just ate is going to do to your body, if you're
Yeah.
going to have any control over that. So it's not something we can turn on or off. It's something we daily, moment by moment, live with. And because it is so unique for all of us, we have
Mm.
to really figure out what works for each of us. And that can be a hard, stressful journey to be on.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely have clocked that many people that I meet that have autoimmune
Hmm.
diseases or conditions um, have not connected at all that it's related to or could be related to stress, nervous system
Hmm.
dysregulation.
Yeah.
And you and I have connected over how much the environment can impact that.
Hmm.
Do you think that there is, why do you think that that's a complete mismatch? It's like, this is one of the things that drives me insane as we've separated mental and physical health so much that they
Hmm.
don't talk to each other at all. But we've also done that within physical health. Like these things are for over here and these things are for over there, and they don't talk to each other. That is problematic well, it's
Hmm.
problematic to so many. I mean, was that kind of what happened with you with your doctor story?
It is. Um, I've always known internally, right, that there's a connection between all of the things, right? You know,
Mm.
even when I was younger, I liked being outside because that's where I felt fulfilled. But as you get older and you start seeing doctors that are all differentiated, and it seems like nobody speaks to each other,
Yeah.
and even our own society, right? We very much like to silo parts of, okay, this is you're doing this here, now you're doing this over
Yeah.
there, and there's not much connection between, especially for women.
Yeah.
And women are more often impacted by autoimmune disease. And I think it's related because of this, because of the load that we carry
Mm.
is so complex and there's no direct supports and
Mm.
there's no real understanding, right, to how our bodies are directly responding to what's around us. And if the body feels threatened, if it feels stressed, it's not going to heal, it's not going to rest,
Mm.
and you're not going to be making, let's be honest, the best decisions
Yeah.
because you can't. It's not that you don't want to, you can't. And that's why it takes those moments, you know, where we're talking about a direct split or a stop. It takes those moments for your doctor to say, you need to take care of yourself. And then you realize in your body this direct impact. But even at that, I didn't have someone who stepped in and said, well, here's a map now for how to do the things, right? I had
Mm.
to start figuring out myself and talking to other people and finding out what other people are doing or what they know.
So, do you find that you see people who have just normalized insane stress levels, um, and they're wondering why they have all these illnesses?
Yes. And people will tell me what they're carrying, like
Mhm.
it's, you know, going out to check the mail. And I'm just like, no, this is so much. But we normalize it.
Yeah.
We push through. Women do it. Men do it as well. I mean, it's not just a solely a female or a woman thing. Um, but then it also, we are normalizing it ourselves, but that's what we're hearing from others too.
Yeah.
You know, even
Yeah.
our doctors, they're dismissing we're having sleep issues, we're having, you know, these pains, or we're struggling to function as we
Yeah.
know we need to. Well, you're getting older, it's your hormones, it's your time of life, it's you need more sleep. Well, those are symptoms, and that's not helping me. And guess what? That's adding to my stress level now because I need to do these things to try and fix, quote unquote, right? What's going
Mhm.
on. And so now I'm more stressed that I'm not doing the things.
Yeah.
And so people normalize these stress. It's something I have to do. And after a while, what's normalized is what is normal. And your body is constantly scanning for threats. And,
Yeah.
you know, I'd like to bring this up too. When we think of stress, we think of the big moments. You know, at work, it's the deadline that has to be
Yeah.
done in a week, or a major life moment. You know, these we associate. I find it's the smaller stress things that occur every day. Checking our emails, making sure the house looks a certain way. It's these
Yeah.
smaller little stress bits. It's almost like dripping water, right? You keep hearing it, it becomes normal, but it's still kind of just irking you in the back of the head. And that keeps our nervous systems completely dysregulated and our body's constantly scanning for the next threats, which leads to continual stress, continual inflammation. We can't rest, we can't heal, and we can't
Yeah.
reset properly.
Yeah, I think I mean I see this a lot as well. It's that low level ongoing
Yes.
what we think is just life that
Mm-hmm.
actually turns into chronic stress. And
Yeah.
yeah, the inflammations are insane. What can happen in the body when you just live with your body flooded with cortisol and adrenaline all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good. But I think what makes me I will say it does make me angry, is that most people have not been taught how to listen to that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was not
Mm-hmm.
taught any of this at school, at
No.
like never. I never heard
Mm-mm.
any of these things. I mean, the nervous system I didn't know about it really. I mean, I knew it was there, but I didn't really know what it did.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not taught that as a kid, as a teen, when it would have been really useful. I just People are not they're not taught how to learn to listen. They're not taught
Mm-mm.
what it means, even if they do
Yep.
listen. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we certainly, I mean, one of the things I say all the time is our baselines are all way off base.
Right.
And we've just become our plumb lines are all off. So what we
Mm-hmm.
measure everything against is not a real measurement. It's
No.
all off. So how do you describe you're a coach, you work
Mm-hmm.
in what do you call your area?
Health and wellness, but I focus on those, particularly women with autoimmune diseases. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is ri literally people who are physiologically being affected by
Yep.
nervous system dysregulation, pretty much, and
Mm-hmm.
probably some other contributing factors. But what do you what do you see is physiologically going on in someone who has just lived in constant activation for years and years and years?
Exhaustion and despair.
Yeah,
Really,
despair.
that's it. I mean, and despair, and I bring that up, and this is something I have lived through. And again, it's one of those things that keeps coming up. You are exhausted because your body never fully rests, even if you think you are. It's not if your system's that deregulated. Um, but the despair, and this is
Mm-hmm.
something I think that's often overlooked. You feel broken
Mm-hmm.
because your body can't function like you think it should or the way it used to. You walk into a space, and and I told you this when we've spoken previously, when I would go into my kitchen, I would get depressed
Yeah.
because I knew it was going to be a struggle to make myself a snack because I can't open jars. I can't,
Mm.
it's just bodily functioning of moving the joints is too much some days.
Mm.
Um, and so just feel broken. You feel like you are less than. And when your body is telling you basically that it is at this point because it can't do the things like you want it to. And if your body is never able to stop and pause, you're not going to be able to see, no, it's not me. It's not myself that's broken or a
Mm.
failure. It's my surroundings right now are not working for me. Now, how can I make shifts, however small, to to be able to do the things I need to do, to
Yeah.
lower that stress level and get the snack I need to keep moving.
Yeah. Got to get those snacks. It's
Right.
very, very important. Oh yeah, I mean, I think that that sense of despair is a really big one. And I think
Hmm.
I've actually not used the word despair, but I've used words like crumbling and broken,
Hmm.
um, because we push so hard to live this life we think is necessary and we
Yep.
think is expected. And
Hmm.
I think the more I go through life, the more I realize this is actually just insanity. And we're all just making ourselves sick.
Yeah.
But I think there is a real sense of something is, I mean, this is before you get to the
Hmm.
autoimmune and the inflammations that come in the body, whether that's IBS or whether that's
Hmm.
rosacea
Yeah.
or alopecia or whatever. All these things, before you've even got a physical
Hmm.
manifestation of an illness of some kind, your body doesn't know how to rest. So you have to learn that again. And until
Hmm.
you're not going to be able to do that until you unlearn a whole bunch of other stuff. So
Yes.
it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. You can't just tell someone, you've got to just sit down. Because
Hmm.
half of the reason I get people through my door is because they're doing that and it's not working.
And it's not working, right? Exactly. And even if you say, sit down and rest, because we can't. Even
Yeah.
if we think so one of my things I like to do to rest is play mahjong, the solitaire version of mahjong on my phone.
Mm.
And don't judge me for being on my phone when I rest, but that is something I generally like to do. But I was in a point of a flare, and so I noticed my shoulders were hunched. I
Mm.
was tense, and I was like, this is not causing me enjoyment or release of any of this stress. So you even have to think, okay, I'm sitting down and I'm resting, but am I really doing that? Or am I
Yeah.
just building in this dysregulated system?
Yeah, it's the same with TV. We
Yep.
think sitting down and watching TV. I mean, sometimes it's exactly what we need, and
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
not a judgment thing. It's
Mhm.
about, is it actually what you need? And we've programmed
Mhm.
ourselves that TV on the sofa equals rest. And sometimes it
Mhm.
might be, but probably most of the time it's probably not. And there's probably a million other things we could do that would make us feel
Mhm.
far better.
Yeah.
And I mean, I watch TV every day, I'm pretty
Oh yeah.
much. But I think one of the biggest shifts I saw was when we stopped watching TV in the bedroom, like
Mhm.
right before bed. Um,
Mhm.
I don't even remember why it happened. I got really into reading.
Yeah.
And I always used to be, and I rediscovered it. I had my midlife crisis and returned to my roots, um, and started reading again. And it changed so much because all of a
Mhm.
sudden I didn't really want to watch TV because I wanted to read my
Right.
book. And
Mhm.
then husband was like, "Oh, fine, she's reading, I'll read." The classic is, "Oh, just give me a book. I don't care. Just give me any book." And I just feed him my books, and he just
Yeah,
reads
and you're
what I
like,
give
ha
him.
ha
Yeah.
ha.
And that really changed things because not only did the last thing at night, it wasn't this kind of hyper stimulating thing,
Yes.
but it also just became like this coming down ritual that
Mhm.
actually really went. So my sleep got better and all these other
Mhm.
knock-on effects started happening. And I mean, I talk about that a lot with clients as well. What are you doing right before bed?
Mhm.
And the things I hear, I'm like, well, are you surprised you're not sleeping? Like, obviously, I don't say that because
Like, yes, I know, right? Yes.
no
Again,
judgment and lots of
non-judgmental.
compassion. But sometimes it's baffling to me that someone would think
Yeah.
this is a great thing to do just before sleep. But yeah.
Yeah, I had a client once and she would check work email right before bed.
Oh no,
I'm like, let's just
no.
stop that right now.
Yeah, no. Boundaries. Um, so what would you say, how can the body stay in survival mode for so long?
Mhm.
And how do we, so if we do that, we stop recognizing what rest is.
Yeah.
How do we undo that? How do we get out of that and rediscover rest? And I guess pull back from the inflammations that can come. How would you advise that?
I say this a lot with folks. First, you have to extend yourself grace because most likely you have had decades of learning how to live stressed
Mm,
and how to not rest. So much so, like we were saying, your body doesn't, you don't even know if you are actually at rest. You may think you are, but you're not.
yeah.
Um, I encourage folks to start with what seems small.
Mm,
When you wake up in the morning, have a few breathing exercises that work for you. What
yeah.
feels right? The deep breathing. That's always an excellent way to reset a system. Throughout the day, have those little rituals, whether it's breathing, whether it's just stopping, just work it out. Like I said, I hold things in my shoulders and my neck. So I have to several times a day intentionally do the things that help my body release some of that tension. There's also some, light lymphatic massages that folks can do that help a lot of people. And then that continues through to the end of the day, as you were saying. What
Yeah.
is your ritual before bed to
Yeah.
let loose of the day? And some people like to journal, and that's a good way to release things.
Yeah.
But you also need to be intentional that you're not writing things down just to activate the system again,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
Because I often find when I'm talking to people about, all the stress we hold, I find myself getting stressed over talking about it. So you need to
Yeah.
be able to listen to your body, to take that pause, to do the breath, to put your hand on yourself, calm the system down in a way that works for you. And in those small ritual ways throughout the day, you're building some rest, some pause that you can then do more once you find what works for you, whether it's, 15-minute tea break or something like that, right? But start small with those rituals.
That's great advice. I need to do that more myself. And I keep thinking to myself, I get so far through the day and go, oh wait, hold
Hmm.
on. I haven't even stopped to eat, I haven't had a drink,
Right?
I haven't I just get so
Mhm.
in the zone and go, well that can't be good for me to do that every day.
No.
Um,
Mm-mm.
I find it really hard to do regular things like that because it feels like it's interrupting me, and then
Yes.
that causes more problems. But
Hmm.
I do think I think again, my baseline is off base. I don't need to be working that
Yep.
hyper focused all of the time. No
Hmm.
one's gonna die if I don't. Like it's all okay.
Right.
But somewhere along the line, I think my brain has got tricked into thinking
Hmm.
tick. So
We've created a culture of busyness.
oh yeah, and pressure.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
you couple that with, entrepreneurial
Oh,
drive,
yeah.
and it's a recipe for disaster. So, yeah. So you and I connected because we both focus in our coaching on surroundings and environments and how they impact our well-being and our health.
Hmm.
So how do you find that impacts your clients?
A few ways. First, we go back to that idea. I said despair. You talk about crumbling. What is your environment? If you go into, I'll say me in my kitchen, and I know that's going to be a battle, my system is not going to be calm. If
Mm.
I know I'm in my workspace and it's not functional to what I need to help support joints or to provide me the ability to move so my joints don't get stiff,
Mm.
I see my environment as a battleground. That is not healthy.
Yeah.
That keeps my system dysregulated. It keeps searching for the next threat. And I can't find that space of peace. And if you're living like that, again, it becomes normalized because kitchens should look a certain way, right?
Yeah.
Workspaces should look a certain way. No, no, doesn't need to. You can make it work for you. And that
Mm.
is where you can build a healthy space. I find it especially for those with autoimmune disorders, you need to have a safe haven. And I think
Mm.
this is true for all people, but especially if I'm in the middle of a flare, I need to know that that spot on my couch is available for me with that fuzzy soft blanket. When everything hurts, I can just wrap myself in that blanket and know that there is at least somewhat of a respite, right? That all the
Mm.
pain's not going to go away, but I have this space I know I can retreat to when everything else just is so overwhelming. So especially with autoimmune folks with autoimmune disorders, they really need to know they have that space. And that means you also need to think about what's the lighting like? Is it going to be too harsh, especially if you get
Mhm.
migraines and headaches like I do because of it? I like to look out on my backyard because it has all my flowers, and being outside revives me. But on those times I can't go outside, I want to make sure it's a peaceful view and I'm not seeing all the plants that I need to trim or the bed I need to weed, right? Because that's just going to add to the stress. So,
Yeah.
really being cognizant of your space and what it does for you.
How do you, so one, I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, okay, I agree with everything that you're saying, but I am also a very visually stimulated person. So
Mm-hmm.
I need it to look beautiful or it's going to create stress. I
Yep.
will have to go and fix it. So all of the, so there's this, it's the form and function
Yes.
argument. And obviously we all want the perfect world where they are aligned.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I definitely see in my clients who are not often well, that's a different question. How many people have autoimmune
Mm.
issues that don't know it?
Yep.
That's another question. But they haven't been diagnosed with anything, um, and they haven't understood how much their environment will be impacting them. And
Mm-hmm.
so it is, and this is why I use the same onboarding process for someone who wants to focus on design and someone who wants to
Mm-hmm.
focus on coaching because they
Yep.
completely overlap and it all talks to each other.
Yeah.
So, how do you marry that up for somebody who, deeply appreciates beauty and
Mm-hmm.
order or no clutter or whatever it is that is their
Mm-hmm.
pet peeve? How do you
Yeah.
marry that up with, but it has to function for me?
Mm-hmm.
How do you balance that or juggle that?
It goes back to how we all are so unique.
Yeah.
It goes to identifying. Because I'm one of those people, you probably would come into my spaces and be a bit annoyed and stressed out because it is more cluttered, right? But I like my things. I like having my little toys and my gadgets around, and that helps make me feel safe. So I first start off by helping the person identify what is their stressor, right?
Mm,
Because maybe they want a place that looks as gorgeous as your background, right? But that's not, they're more like me. They need toys and things and stuff. And that's fine, right? What is it? First, we have to identify what is causing you your stress.
mm,
And then what do you need to support you as a human? One of the things I have around me are different kinds of braces because sometimes I need a certain wrist brace
mm.
or an elbow brace, right? And those have to be around, but I also don't want to look like I'm a medical supply selling store either, and others don't either. So it's like, okay, what is it that can make this functional for you while still providing you that I can breathe in this
Hmm.
space? What is it?
Mm.
And if it's not that for the person, what's a small thing you can do to change that? My
Yeah.
braces are all in a drawer, so I can get to them handy, but I don't have to look for them. But yet, my little toys and gadgets and little animal figurines are all right here in case I need to pull that out for support, right? So it's really just identifying what works for the person. And
Mm.
that's not easy because, again, we're told houses, workspaces, all of the things should be a certain way, right? We see on TV, we're trying to be sold this, that, or the other. Well, it may not work for me. What do you need? Let's reframe
Yeah.
this a bit.
I think one of the most unhelpful things, I think, is the misuse of the word clutter.
Yes.
I differentiate quite like I talked about this in a whole episode actually about the difference between clutter and decor.
Right.
Because we actually and I find that the modern kind of minimalist
Mm-hmm.
movement, let's call it,
Yep.
while we're being sold that it's, clean lines and like,
Yes.
trendy, and it's fine if that's what you like. I personally don't buy that
Mm-mm.
that is going to be doing you any good because our nervous systems are always looking to attach to something, to feel safe, to feel like it
Yes.
belongs. And it is your little bits of decor
Mm-hmm.
that tell your story. You fit into the story. And so if
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing anywhere, there's no sense of safety, there's no sense
Hmm.
of belonging because there's no memories or storytelling going on in that space.
Hmm.
So that's not clutter to me. That is homemaking.
Yep.
That's decor. Clutter is
Hmm.
endless amounts of Tupperware out on your side in the kitchen with, just lids everywhere, miscellaneously just strewn. And that's clutter.
And none
That's
of them
not
ever
telling
matching.
any kind of helpful story. That is stressing your brain out. So
Yes.
it's helpful to what you're saying is exactly the right thing.
Hmm.
What do you need? We
Yeah.
need pieces of our story to help ground us in those moments. And
Yes.
that's what you're describing.
Hmm.
I like that.
Exactly. And it's pictures and things too. I know a
Yeah.
lot of stress for me has been like traveling. I don't know
Mm.
if I will be healthy enough to plan trips, right? But I have pictures of these fun trips that my family and I took. And that helps remind you that, yeah, you are whole. You are
Yeah.
able to work with your body and to go through things. And those are those
Yeah.
stories you're coming at. Hmm.
Yeah. I love that. What do you find that people are surprised that you're drawing attention to their environment? Like they haven't considered it?
Yes,
Yeah.
very often. And
Okay.
because it's a space we live, right? We don't always put that much thought into it. And if we do, it's usually stress that we're thinking about, oh, I need to clean it or I need to do this, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, no, let's just really think about where that space is that you're inhabiting. What's it doing to you? And then
Yeah.
there's that connection. It's like, I do get tense when I walk into this room.
Yeah.
And we don't have that realization.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I think
Hmm.
again, we've not been taught how to learn to listen, so we don't
Mm-mm.
clock until it's
Right.
painful that our jaws are tense or our knuckles
Hmm.
have been I see it all the time. Once you start understanding it for yourself, you start noticing it in other people, and you're like, wow, that lady
Yes.
has been clenching for like an
Mm-hmm.
hour. She must be in agony, like that jaw,
Yes.
and people just don't know how to
Mm-hmm.
listen
They
or
don't.
read. It's like muted,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, I lived that way for a very long time, so
Mm-hmm. Me
I get
too.
it.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah,
I think it goes back to, especially if we talk about, high functioning women or women that
yeah,
have a lot of the stress. This is something because someone told it to me, so I always want to pass it along. And it plays into a lot of the coaching and support I provide people. Your body is not your enemy.
yeah,
So often we are told it's this thing or that thing. Here, take this medicine for it. It's like, no, your body is telling you something.
yeah,
And as we've grown older, we've been desensitized to it. We've been learned not to listen to it because we push through, we do the things, we adapt in very unhealthy ways. But your body's not your enemy. It is trying to support you.
yeah,
And if you can go back learning to work with it and to listen to it, you'll find some really fascinating bits of information that can
yeah.
help you live more healthily and more fully in ways you've forgotten.
Well, absolutely. I say similar things. I think one of the things I get a lot is anxiety,
Hmm.
and they're just frustrated with themselves that they
Yeah.
can't. There's nothing wrong with me. Why is this happening?
Hmm.
I know I'm
Hmm.
fine. So why is?
Right.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, actually, your body is doing exactly what it was designed to do. You're not broken,
Yes.
not failing.
Mm-mm.
You're.
Mm-mm.
It's actually doing exactly what it needs to do. So instead of
Hmm.
trying to bypass it, ignore it, push through it, and those are all the things that we're rewarding.
Right. Hmm.
Badge of honor, I push through. And it's like, well, actually that your body is just going to keep sending
Right.
you this message and it's going to get
Hmm.
more and more acute until you collapse. And then it's
Yep.
going to be a much bigger, more severe job to recover from that.
Hmm. Yeah.
But it's, yeah, I really get sad when I think about how much our culture
Hmm.
celebrates ignoring this and pushing through it
Yes.
and resilience and resilience is amazing. It's an amazing thing.
Sure.
It's probably the
Hmm.
most amazing thing about humanity, but resilience is only resilience until it's not healthy anymore. And
Hmm.
it's yeah, it's a fine line. It's a fine
Yep.
line.
Who and what is paying because of that resilience? And it
Yeah.
just really goes to us going back and defining what does resilience mean and what does it look like for people? Is it having a schedule that's completely full and all of the things, and yet you are not able to rest or feel whole? Or
Yeah.
is it setting up boundaries? Is it
Yeah.
taking that time to breathe during the day?
Yep. So what do you think keeps people in chronic activation without them realizing?
All of the little things. And I am a big believer in habits. So it can start very small, but it is all of the lists, the to-dos.
Oh yeah.
I should have,
Yeah.
that just leads us into ratcheting up and we don't even realize it. And so then our bodies are constantly, they're scanning. We have the adrenaline going when it shouldn't be, and we don't even realize it
Yeah.
because we have all these expectations that either society, culture, or we have set for ourselves that don't
Yeah.
align with the energy that we have,
Yeah.
or sometimes even what we really want to gain.
Yeah.
But we've built up that.
I find as well that a lot of people, what you said there, that are, what did you say? You said that our something doesn't align with the energy that we have.
No, I can't remember.
It's that.
The
So it's
schedules, that, yeah,
our
exactly though.
schedules, something you said
Yeah,
something about aligning,
yeah,
and I think that that's it because we
yes.
we we push ourselves to this crazy unsustainable pace of life,
Hmm.
and then we also don't know how to rest. And then we
Yes.
spend all this money on going on these vacations that we've been told are exactly what we need. And then we come
Hmm.
back even more exhausted because we actually don't know how to switch off because we're totally overstimulated and
Yeah.
dysregulated, and it's just like this crazy loop, and it's
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. And we put so much stress and expectation in it that again, it comes back to, well, there's something wrong with me
Yes.
because I had the bath that was supposed to relax me, or the spa day, or that really great vacation. What's wrong with
Yeah.
me?
Yeah.
It's like, there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah. It's oh, it just makes me so sad.
I
Yeah.
know it does.
So for somebody listening who
Hmm.
maybe is realizing that their body has probably been living in this crazy zone you've
Yep.
been talking about for a long time, what should they do? Where do they start? Other than calling
First,
us.
well, that's the first thing.
Yes.
Second thing after that, tell yourself you are whole and competent,
Yeah.
and say that like you really mean it. You may not believe it just yet, but
Yeah.
tell yourself that. Secondly, do that pause and just scan on your body. Where do you find tense spots? Where does something feel off? Then think about, what is your biggest friction point in a day? You're not going to change that right now, but what's one small shift, something you can do
Mm,
to help get that being changed, to move towards that? Do that and then celebrate it.
mm.
Those steps, they might seem simple or they
Yeah.
might not, but do them, be very intentional. And like I said, celebrate that shift at the end because you will notice a
Mm.
difference. And stick with that for a little bit and then continue to grow. Don't take on, I'm going to completely redo my house, right? Or I'm going to completely go to all my doctors and say, no, we need to do this. That's not probably not going to happen because you probably don't have the energy, or even the strength to do it, right? And I'm not sure that would really be helpful in the end anyway. Start small, start listening to your body, and big changes will happen.
I think one of just to add to that is I don't know if you find this, but I find that when people do start doing that, they
Hmm.
feel worse for a little
Yep.
bit
Bit. Yep.
because their body is going, oh wait, hold on, I've forgotten how to come down. And
Hmm.
it's not felt safe enough for so long that it actually
Right.
feels really uncomfortable.
It does.
So what would you say are some of the signs
Yeah.
that their nervous system is starting to feel safer that they
Mm,
might not feel good in, but are good signs?
yes. Um, First is recognizing that
Yeah.
intentionally, because our brain loves what it knows, even if what it knows is not healthy for us. So recognizing that your brain is wanting to go back to those spaces, that your body's wanting to go back to that spaces, that's a good sign.
Mm,
And you need to remind yourself. And I often tell people, what is it that's going to be that reminder for you? Is it writing something down? Some people, it's an inspirational quote. I had one client who had this, she found a heart-shaped rock, and we were talking about health and heart-related things. And so she kept that with her to remind herself that when she needed to slow down or say no to the things, because that was so different for her, she felt sick in her body.
mm,
And it comes back to that because your system is learning how to regulate itself again. And oftentimes there are even toxins coming out of our body because we've held toxins and things in for so long, right? But she held that rock and it reminded her what she was doing this for. There was a purpose.
mm.
She had a purpose. It wasn't me telling her what to do. This was her purpose that she had decided on. And to sit with that. Think about all the discomfort you've been sitting with for years. This discomfort is leading towards a goal at the end where you will finally be able to rest.
Mm.
To exhale, just think about that to people whose systems have been, on constant overdrive for so long. You'll
Yeah.
be able to just exhale and feel that just leave you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, what would you, if you could say one thing to
Hmm.
these women that we take care of who are these high capacity, high functioning, fast paced women, what would you say or want them to know to
Hmm.
understand about themselves, their bodies, their health? What would be your one message to them?
You are your own expert of your
Mm.
health, your body, and your surroundings.
Yeah.
If what other people are telling you doesn't fit, you know, maybe they're not the right voices you should be listening to, right? You need to be able to sit with yourself and know you are that expert.
Yeah.
And
That's
that's hard.
That's hard, but it's very good advice because
Hmm.
I think we're all very good at squeezing ourselves into everybody else's shapes
Yes.
and wondering why it's uncomfortable.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's very good. Well, I think that is a great place to stop. I think that is a really good place for people to sit and stew on.
Hmm.
I really appreciate you joining me today. So, Mary, if people want to connect with you on your coaching and what you can offer, where is the best place for people to find you?
You can find me. I have a website, narcoaching.com, and Nar is Knarr. It's one of those unusual last names. So you can find resources on that website. You can find ways to set up calls to meet with me. And I also have a Facebook page, if that's where you'd like to go, or Instagram. And both of those are also NAR coaching.
That's cool. I will definitely link all of that up in the show notes. So if anyone is interested, they can find you easily. Yeah, thank you.
That was fun.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad we got to have that conversation together. I hope you enjoyed it. We've already started planning another opportunity for Mary to come back on the show and talk about some other things. So I do hope that you drop down, connect with her if you want to talk to her or anything that she spoke about today resonated with something you're walking through. I've dropped her links down below. Please do follow up, give her a follow, and connect with her as and when you need. And from my side, you are always welcome to go and investigate the Rooted and Rested program. It's a group coaching program intended to be a safe space for you to really reconnect, understand, and grow. We have people joining all the time, and there is always a place for you. Have a look at the links in my show notes and be sure to drop me a line if you've got any questions. You can always book a free discovery call and we can have a chat about whether it's a good fit for you without any pressure at all. From me, that's it for the Rooted and Rested podcast, and I will see you next time.